All right, we're going to talk about the Power Scourge today. Power Scourge in World vs. World's purpose is damage and boon rip. It's also a slight support class for your sub squads using barriers. So the first thing to discuss is the build. So the build is in the build document. That's the exact build I'm using. There's nothing different. Of course, you have to have absorption sigils, which is what really the build is all about. Have to have absorption on both of your axe and your scepter. You're running scepter dagger and axe focus. Right now, we should all be in scepter dagger. That is usually your opener that you run with. So I'm going to read what Mel put because it's very well put, like I said. So we'll just stand fast while I read this. It's kind of a little bit of verbiage. So in brief, Sand Flare, which is the heal skill. As we approach enemies, we give barrier on cooldown in melee combat. That means in melee combat, whenever we switch to axe, because that's mainly your melee weapon, close range, because of the skills on axe also have some AoEs. You will be spamming your heal skill. And like I've said before in the past, the heal skill is not for you, it's for everybody. So whenever you hit it, it will give it to 5 targets, which we usually stay in 5 subgroups, 5 people per subgroup. So everybody group up right here. Stack, stack. We should be able to give the entire sub-squad, the entire group, barrier. So everybody hit their heal. See, some people are not getting it. So you have to be traded for that as well.
The people that are not getting it might not be here. No, the 2 people that don't get, they're not here.
Okay.
That's why.
All right, let me go ahead and ping the bill. That's the Scourge bill. It's all Marauders, Scholar runes. So you're just plain DPS. So back to the document. To bomb enemies, which is very important. You're not really bombing with your shades. Your shades are going to be more for giving us a little bit of barrier and also to apply small conditions on groups to make them use their cleanses. So in approaching a group, a commander might ask for just a couple of shades, just throw it on them. It puts conditions on the group and it makes them use their CDRs. So that's what shades will really use for. Used for bombing above, putting some stuff on people that are on a cannon. Used for putting, whenever you're in melee range, drop them in your feet. Use your F5. That'll give some barrier. Share it to the group. So the shades are more for close range and just for situational. It's not, you just don't burn them out of here. All of your damage is going to come from your wells. Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We'll just admit that from the video, Mason. Please. Yep. Omit that from the video. Thank you.
And we've only owned it to tier 1, so not for very long, obviously.
So to bomb an enemy, so if we were bombing here, everything is in 900 range. So where I'm standing right now is about the max you have. That's about how far you can go. It's to that marker. Drop your shades right there. Almost all the skills on Scourge are 900 range. If you hover over them, they'll show you how far. Your focus goes a little further. Its focus skills are at 1200. And then some of utility skills are actually further than 900 as well, like your Spectral Grasp, which is situational. So, back to bomb. So, to bomb an enemy, you drop all of your wells. You drop your corruption, you drop your suffering. And then followed by a manifest shade and a desert shroud. So it's wells, shade, desert shroud, which is F5. F5 will also transfer conditions off of you to the enemies. If you read the F5, what it does. Enter to a shroud, gaining a powerful barrier and pulsing neurotic energy around the sand shades. gives barrier to your two targets, excuse me, and does 7 pulses. Also causes torment. Scarbound nodes. Supplies if we need them over here.
So, what brings you here?
After Desert Shroud, Nefarious Favor. That is your
F2.
F2. And then your Cascade. So basically you run through your Fs. So you drop in your whales, dropping my Whale of Suffering, my Well of Corruption, a Shade on top of it, my F skills, burning through them. On a bomb. Whenever we're in close melee range, say the enemies are here, we're pushed on them after eating them up, then you're dropping your Shades in your feet, and then every time you hit an F button, it also applies to your Shade and yourself. So you're also doing damage as coming out of yourself.
Are you aiming to put all 3 shades down or just 1 in each place?
So you have a total of 3 shades. Most of the time, and they have a long recharge in World vs. World. A lot of times you want to save your shades. That's why I said shades are not used to just attack. They're used for a bomb and for getting people off of a cannon and small stuff, because you have to conserve them as much as you can. You also have to have enough life force to do your F skills. So the shades are really not to throw around everywhere. You have other weapons that can do that. So at range, you will be on Scepter Dagger. This is the following order for ripping the most amount of boons. Your number 3. Your number 3 is your baby. You will spam that son of a bitch. Why? Because it's boons converted to conditions. It does 1, but it hits 5 targets, puts torment, gives you life force, gives more life force per more conditions you put, and on top of all that, it's the highest damage on your scepter. So you want to be spamming that 3 on those enemies. It on the group, it doesn't matter. It will hit 5 enemies, and you will rip boons. It's gonna happen. So after Devouring Darkness, you use In Bleeding Blood, which is your Dagger 5, which I like Dagger 5. Sometimes I use it when I get a condition on myself, because what it does is it transfers a condition off of you and puts it on them. Excuse me, that's 4. 5, I'm sorry, boons convert on 5. 4 is what takes conditions off of you, sends it to the enemies, and bounces on 5 targets at 900 range. It does 3 bounces, can hit 5 targets. Grab your speed boost right here. Might not be anything else to cap. Let's go to Blue Borderland. Then after you hit your Dagger 5, your Devouring Darkness should be back up. That's how quick it is. It's only a cooldown of 10 seconds, which is nice. And you can't accidentally hit it. If there's no enemy, it's going to tell you, oh, there's no enemy. You know how some of your skills, you're like, fuck, I fat-fingered it? This, it doesn't matter. You hit it, you can hit it as many times as you want. It's not going to cast. So it's always going to be there available for you. Let's give it a couple more seconds. All right, let's move. In melee range, which is on top of enemies, you're going to be in your axe. Axe focus. The first thing you're always going to hit is that Unholy Feast. Unholy Feast is a big, how can I say this? It converts boons to condition, but it does an explosion around you. It does like a radius of 600. That's why you use it within melee range. No veteran, right?
Correct.
Correct? Okay. after you use the Unholy Feast, then you're going to use your Spinal Shivers. Now, Spinal Shivers has a long... It's a long attack, but it's very, very slow.
But it can hit like a truck.
It does. After that, you would hit your Ghastly Claws combo,
which also can hit like a truck.
It can hit like a truck, but Ghastly Claws is one enemy only, but it does do a lot of damage. And then, of course, fill the gaps with your weapon, autos, and do minor shade spikes. You know, continue doing your F skills whenever you're in melee range. Go through your number 3 skill. Fasudo, invite me, Dad. All right, let's talk about the utility skills. Any question about the weapons? About the weapon skills? You have a question when you're going to use them? I use the Grasping Dead on the focus as well. On the scepter, because you're crippling an enemy, it rips boons from them because of your absorption sigils. This is open. Because of your absorption sigils. So I use all the skills on both of my weapons. I run through all of them. There are certain orders that I'm giving you. The orders really are... You can use them as you want, but to me, that Devouring Darkness is just a shit. You just want... At range, you just want to constantly be pumping it. You pump that now on this boss. I hit it for 4,000 crit.
I hit that 3, 4, and 5 as we're overtaking a big bunch of enemies.
Yeah.
He strips them all.
So again, you heal skill. Very important for Scourges, and it's something to get used to as a Scourge. You have to be spamming it. At ranged, at melee, you just have to add it in your rotation. It just needs to be the first thing you hit, and then just keep hitting it, and just keep it out of your mind. Just keep your finger hitting it. You want to keep hitting that barrier, and you want to constantly give that barrier to your sub-squad. You do it in one button. Well of Corruption. Well of Corruption is a very good skill. It's unblockable. It pauses. It converts boons to conditions. Can't go wrong there. You want to put that on your enemies, and it's part of your main bomb, along with your other Well of Suffering. Well of Suffering is a great unblockable. It's high damage, big target. It can be blasted. It works so great, both the wells. You can substitute those 2 wells. You can go with Well of Power as well, which is another good one. But those 2 wells work really good together, and it's really the meta. Then the Trail of Anguish, like we were talking about. No, don't set it to auto use. Trail of Anguish. That's your oh shit button. So whenever we push in for melee, you're hitting that. So you get stability. You're going to give stability to yourself. It is a stun break. It's not the only stun break that Scourge has. Or excuse me, Necro. This build, it is your only stun break. It breaks stuns, it gets rid of boons, converts them, and it also damages on the ground. So whenever they walk over, it damages them. I think there's some enemies out front. And final, your Ghastly Breach. Ghastly Breach is a big one. So I'll read what it does. It does punishment. It breaches into the realm of torment for a brief time, granting might to allies and slowing enemies, converting a boon on enemy to torment and crippling each pulse. Very powerful. The problem with it is the range. It is only a radius of 300. If anybody knows how far 300 is, it's about right there from where we're standing. That's pretty freaking close. So, you hit that during melee range right there. And that will convert, and it will pulse 5 times. It will to give might, and it's going to also help out your sub squad. And what do we do during combat all the time?
Get our sand flare.
Sand flare. Nice. So there are some alternative skills you can run if you don't need Trail of Anguish and some other stuff. We're just moving by. We're just passing through. Keeps none a daily, and we're not ready to take on some enemies. So if you want to use alternative skills to maybe Trail of Anguish, which is I've substituted Trail of Anguish before. You can use Spectral Grasp, which is a 1200 range pull, which is very, very nice. Could also use, like I said, Well of Power. Well of Power is a good alternative to any of the other wells. In fact, you can run 3 wells if you want to.
Is Spectral Armor viable?
I never used it. What is? Let me see. I've never used it.
Yeah.
Gain life force as you take damage, protection, gain life, break stun. Nah, I wouldn't use that for anything. I wouldn't use that in World vs. World. Let me just say that.
Oh, I used it on my roamer build.
So
when I'm on my aquatic set, but
yeah. So whenever you're on Scepter, Grasping Dead, Scepter 2 is a good ground target AoE. It does bleeds and cripples on 5 targets, like I said, and also interrupts them, so it gives them you rip their boons away. You got Devouring Darkness on Scepter 3. Great. Dagger.
Enemies in the camp behind us.
Okay. Let's go, everybody. We're gonna hit. We're gonna do Devouring Darkness on them first. Rip some boons. Number 2. 5. Pop out those barriers. Where's those heals? Trail of Anguish. Wells. Okay, we don't have to do all that. It wasn't that big of a group, but you get the idea. They all died. Immediately.
We got a camp defense. Hooray!
Yeah.
Nice. I don't get those often. The Deathly Swarm, like I talked about on Dagger 4, transfers conditions to enemy targets. It's really not part of your rotation. That's why I say I'll wait till I get a condition or something on me, and then I just throw it. So if you don't get cleansed, say our Scrapper or our Tempest is on CDR, and you get a couple of conditions, you have that as kind of an oh shit, like, oh, I got some conditions on me, just throw them off, and you're good. Dagger 5, of course, is the Corruption. On your Axe, Axe 2 is your single target, high damage. Axe 3, that's your AoE. Focus 4, it's that slow-moving projectile that builds life force and heals for a small amount. Spinal Shivers, which is Focus 5, doesn't corrupt, but it removes 3 boons from one target. So the more boons you remove, guess what?
More damage you do.
More damage. Any questions about the utilities?
Nope.
Yes, you will use Power Food, Marauder's Gear, Scholar Runes. Yep, I used the Potent Sharpening Stones. We don't own that. We own this too. I'm going to put a catapult over something else we own.
What sigils aside from absorption?
Sorry?
The other sigils aside
Energy.
from absorption?
Both energy.
Okay.
So you're going to be swapping weapons. You're not going to sit in Scepter Dagger and be like, I'm just Scepter Dagger. You will be switching weapons. And you will be switching weapons back. And what do you do whenever you're in combat? You're dodging. So every time you switch your weapons, you're going to get your energy back. And it's the best thing for the Scourge. You could maybe throw Bloodlust on the Axe and give yourself a little bit more damage. But let that big spike damage, let the Revenants take care of that. You worry about applying all them conditions and that real damage and ripping them boons. You want to rip boons like it's crazy. You want to take their clothes off of them. After you kill them, you want to get a little piece of armor. 30 seconds away for it. Your number one skill, if you're using your number one skill in combat, you're really not doing anything. That has to stack and stack and stack and stack. And every time you hit them, you're putting a bleed on them. Well, they're cleansing it. So you're starting from the start every time. So using the one skill really doesn't do anything on auto attack. You auto attack on a guard or something like that, but not on the enemy. It's not going to do you any good. All the other skills are good to use. Spam them out whenever you can. It's not really a face roll, but do spam them out whenever we're in combat, especially the heal and that freaking Devouring Darkness, man. I love Devouring Darkness. If they nerf that, the Scourge was going to hurt. So again, bombing. Well of Corruption, Well of Suffering, Manifest Shade, Desert Shroud, Nefarious, Favor, Sand Cascade, Garnish Pillar. Super easy, right? The Scourge really isn't that tough to play. It's a positioning thing, really. So whenever you want to be in position, you want to be right behind the commander. You don't want to be in front. You can't take a lot of damage. You can't take. You're very squishy, so you can't take a lot of damage. I wouldn't be in front of the commander ever. Now I know you're limited to 900 range, and sometimes that can make a necro frustrated. That you just can't reach them. That you feel like you need to step in front of the commander. All you have to do is just be patient, and the commander will push in. Especially people like Spitty and myself. We like the range a little bit, and then we're going for the kill. We want to kill them. So you're gonna get your chance. Just don't waste your shades or waste anything. Whenever you unless you can really necessarily hit them. Now this is gonna be our problem. Everybody start pumping out your heals. We have an arrow card on us. You can also, if you want to, you can cast your barrier in your feet and hit your F5. I will also give barrier to everybody. An arrow card's tearing us up, I'm sure. Let's move in and put some shades on him.
Can't reach him, he's back.
Yeah, he's back. Let's just get him on the edge right here. So you pass a shade up there. You do a little F4 on him that fears him off of the arrow cart. One shade down, F4 fears him. So you're done, just like that. All right, Dex, thanks. Let him run. Oh, never mind.
No, we'll kill
He
him.
knew he wasn't.
All right.
I'm right.
Don't get mad. Condi heavy in World vs. World. But the changes to the Scrapper, the changes to the Tempest, they cleanse all those conditions so quickly that you need to spike them. So it's more about spike damage. And power does your best spike damage, not Condi. Let's go the other way. Come on.
Last question. What do you think about the ability that changes instead of having 3 shades into one big shade? Any good?
Well, that was the meta at one point, but I think something on it got nerfed, and I do not remember what it was. I want to say it was the amount of targets it could hit they nerfed. So your shade can only hit 2 targets. That's it. It used to be infinity. They changed it to 5, and then they came back and said, no, it's not 5, it's 2. So it's better to cast 3 shades instead of that one big shade that uses all of your energy that has a big long cooldown on it you don't get. So that's why it's better to use the 3 shades.
Great. Thank you for all that.
Mm-hmm.
Can maybe add, like, you have double the cooldown on the big shade, and you would lose the boon you steal when you corrupt. That kind of sucks.
No problem on the kids. So yeah, so Scourge is very important. That's why we try to put one in each sub squad because of the barriers, and also it's our main damage dealers. they get the booms off so the Revenants can strike the shit out of them. We're very, very useful playing on Scourge. Can you have too many of them? Yeah, we just saw we can have too many of them a second ago. So yeah, you have to look this person right here. He gone. So I can sit right here, I can talk, I can show you a document and everything. You basically have to get in the driver's seat and oh, nice. You have to get in the driver's seat and take a drive yourself. And if you have ARC, you can look up there and say, oh, I can improve and do something like this. Now, there are other Scourges that are really good that we have, even in our group and even with other groups. So there might not be any boons for you to take. So just because I'm sitting there with 250 boons that I stripped off of some enemies, and you're sitting there with 50, don't think that you lost. I might have just been in a better position to take boons than you were at the time. Maybe you were behind, maybe I was in front, maybe I was overextending, and I just got greedy and stole a bunch of boons, and there were just no boons for you to steal. So don't think just because you don't have 200 like the number one person has that you didn't do anything. You will know after combat if you did anything whenever it's finished. Very, very important is placement with Scourge, as well as Revenant. Revenant is further back. That's why they call it a backline hammer build. The same thing with the Weaver. The Weaver is backline. They're not up front because they're squishy classes. That emote they had on us, you could throw that shade and F5 and get it off of you. It will take that condition off of you and transfer it. A lot of green running around here.
Yeah, well, we kind of... Oh, actually, no, we didn't summon them, did we? We summoned blue.
Rat.
Mm-hmm. All of some crazy animals right now. So yeah, play around with it. Go, bring it along. There's no such thing as really a bad Scourge because every Scourge helps out. The only bad Scourge is one that's not on tag and dies. Just like any other class. You can have a Weaver is amazing DPS, but if they're not on tag and they're dying, they're useless. So same thing with any class. You got to be on tag. You have to be close. You have to be doing your jobs, and keep pumping out your barriers. Keep doing your boon rip. It's a fun class. It really is. It's not going away anytime soon. Reaper is a good alternative to Scourge. It does rip a lot of boons, but it's more melee driven. So if we move to pure melee, then the Reaper will probably be the boss.
You also lose barriers on Reaper.
You do. But if you noticed, they are nerfing barriers little by little. Little at a time. It used to, we would run the skill when you cast a shade on somebody, would give them barrier. That got nerfed so bad, we don't run that anymore. We have to switch skills.
Mason has his hand up.
He does? Okay, go ahead. Well, you have to look at it the other way. So every sub squad takes Firebrand as the meta stands. It's Firebrand, Scrapper, Revenant, Scourge. You fill the rest in. That's the current meta the way it stands. I know they change in Scrapper. I know they change in Tempest. They change in Guardian. They change in a bunch of stuff. It might all change, but the way it stands right now, it's those 4 classes, and then you fill the rest. You go to Vindy. You throw a Vindy in there, throw a Weaver in there, a Soul Beast in there, a Deadeye in there, a Spellbreaker in there, with some other ones. A Dragon Hunter, a Chrono, a Tempest. You know, a Tempest is becoming a good alternative to the Scrapper now, which is nice. You know, just one skill. So it's you want to make sure your little Scourge has the best protection it can because it really is squishy. Even though I have 23,000 health, I'm in almost full berserker. I'm still squishy as shit. Lollygag. Any other questions? Have y'all gotten enough knowledge out of it? Is that good? Do y'all want to read the document yourselves? Do you want to watch the video again? I'm just, everybody's just quiet. We just running around and nobody's saying anything. Did they nerf staff damage? No. You just get more utility out of axe and focus.
There's call out for air home BL. I don't know if you're interested.
What is it?
15 to 20 ETs, whatever they are.
Eridon Terrace.
Let's go to Stoit. We'll try to go save it. We'll have presence of the keep.
I got a question for you.
Shoot.
All right. Now that you're playing Scourge, you've gone over all the mechanics, etc. One of the things I found playing Scourge is that, like, especially when we're maneuvering a lot, do you have any suggestions on how to maneuver and still being able to throw things where you think they may go?
Well, one thing you have to do is use your dodges. There's a red on the ground, dodge through it. Swap your weapons. If you end up in axe in your range, that's fine. Use your focus skills. They have 1200 range. Try to stay out as much damage as you can. I watch my feet a lot and the tag. So a lot of times, if I'm tagging and you're running with me, y'all know I like to run through the damage so y'all don't run through the damage. Every commander is different. They do things differently. So the best thing to do is just stay out of the damage as much as you can. And if you can't hit them because there's damage there, don't take a chance. Wait your turn. Wait until you get a little bit closer. Have some patience. This is more of a patience class. Not as much as the Spellbreaker, but patience will pay off in the long run with Scourge, with the damage and the boom rip that it's possible. Do we know where they are? Don't grab supplies here, please. Make sure you retarget me.
Tell him not to pull you.
Thanks for the trend, Josh. Got ahead.
Hey, check you later, man. Wait, let me show my tag. So we don't know where. Oh, there they are. 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 Over here. Over here.
Looks like it's the Air Guild.
Good. So we're gonna play it ranged here since we don't have a lot of support. So we're gonna range the shit out of them and dodge away, go away. They're disabled right now. All right, let's see. We can't do. Yeah, just stack here. We can't do a sneak gyro because we can't spread it enough. And so I don't think. And you know what? I feel bad because I'm doing the class. I do not think there is a blast finisher on Scourge.
Correct.
Nope.
I do not think there is. All right, let's get ready to push out Empower for whoever we have. We have any Firebrand? We do not. Okay.
Oren, do
it. pretend to Empower and let's push out. Just shades, everything. Ghastly Breach. Pump out the heals. F5. Fears. There you go. Oh, they're separated. They're done. Trail of Anguish. Keep hitting that number 3 skill. Keep pumping that out. Look, we got conditions on us. Let's convert them. Get them off. There we go.
Say, don't forget about me.
Switch to axe. Start. You ought to be swapping them weapons. Hit and see what they do. I love it. I love it. I love it. Looks good. Anybody hiding out here? Let them run. Let's find out where they broke in. Nice work. All right, so let me. Oh, it reset. God damn it! I'm gonna post this in a second. I want to show y'all something. I'm gonna show you why the Scourge is meta. We always talk about meta. I talk about meta a lot. I always want meta in my sub squads. It's just how I am, and I'm gonna show you why. Oh, same size as us.
I hope. I really hope they are. I was just about to say that. I really hope they look at it. They're like, the fuck are they running?
I mean, surely they must have seen from the skills that it was a Scourge overload.
I promise you, somebody in comm said, "Boy, they Scourge heavy." All right, let me post this. I want y'all to see this. I want everybody to go to chat in Discord. Y'all found where they broke in?
North outer gate.
All right, I posted that. That's the report from that fight just now. If you look at this, okay, of course Scourge is on the list for DPS. We know that because we're all Scourges. But look at the cleanses. Look at the Scourges that did cleansing. That's because you took conditions off of yourself and gave it to other enemies. So you're cleansing conditions as well. Then, of course, the boon rips, as you see right there. Just ignore Nornish Hand. He's just an animal. So that's why the Scourge is meta. Because of all that. It does all three. It does rips, it does damage, it does cleanses.
Nice.
Triple threat.